Hello, everyone, and welcome back to All Things Star Wars, the greatest Star Wars podcast in the galaxy. I'm Mr. Jason Roscom. With me here each and every single week, the very distracted Darth Vader to my Palpatine, David Martin. Hello, Dave.
Hello, Jason.
You look like you've got something going on over there.
I'm in YouTube. I'm trying to bring up the chat so we have it for the podcast. And no, thanks. I don't want YouTube Red. And
you should get it.
I can't see the chat, and it's
really.
I don't know if it's because I don't know who I'm logged in as right now. To be honest with you, I may be logged in as. No, I'm logged into myself. I should fucking see the chat. What the shit? Here we go.
You got the right thing clicked.
Here we go.
We're complete professionals here on the All Things Star Wars podcast.
Hey, you know what? This is part of the experience.
yes, it is.
The stuff that Jason can cut out of the fucking podcast,
which I never do
when we do iTunes. We never fix it in post. And Scott Rasmussen, hello. Now that I finally got the chat up. And yeah, so hi, Jason.
Hi. So how are you?
I'm surviving.
Surviving?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Here you've been going to college and
yeah, you know, this college thing is really the best ever.
I can feel the sarcasm through the computer.
You have no idea how badly I want this to be filled with bourbon right now. Like, you have no idea.
Like pure bourbon on the rocks or just mixed in with the Diet Coke?
No, bourbon on the rocks. You don't put Diet Coke in bourbon. What the fuck is wrong with you?
I don't know. Have I ever drank bourbon in my life?
No. You know why I know that? Because you're wearing because of the fucking tank top you're wearing. That's how I know.
What? It's my podcast shirt.
It's just.
So anyway, what are we talking about today?
We're going to talk about my dryer going off. I'm sure you can hear that in the fucking background.
I heard like a click or something.
You don't hear that? Anyway.
No.
We're back to the comics.
Yes.
We talked about doing some the new Darth Vader stuff, but because the storylines are different, we decided against that. But we're going to talk about the first 10 books of the Poe Dameron comic.
Yes, and you can,
which should make Bronco Fett pretty happy.
Yeah, I was just going to say you can credit Bronco Fett for the idea for this because he's been pushing us to try to talk about this for a while. So
yeah, and you know what, Bronco Fett, we're gonna have words later because as we talk about these first 10 books,
but literally fell asleep during book number 7. We'll get into it. So before we get into
the fact that you get up at like fucking 3:30 in the morning every day.
I slept in until 4 today. So
the bad part about that is you're serious.
I am.
Slept until 4.
Yeah. What? Why is that a bad thing?
It's too early, man. It's too fucking early.
Yeah,
I'm sure when the Robins aren't even awake yet, man. That's too fucking early.
Yeah, that'll all change when I get back home, I'm sure. But anyway, before that, some interesting shit just came down over the last couple of days. This wasn't even on my radar, but the E3 convention is happening this coming week. And in anticipation of that, EA does their little EA Play event, which the one last year, I think, is when they announced. It was either when they announced Battlefront 2 or when they gave us a new trailer for Battlefront 2, something like that.
I think it was a trailer.
Yeah.
We knew it was coming out.
Yeah, but either way, they released a whole bunch of new material because we talked about it on the podcast about this time last year. So here we are again a year later, and now there's a new EA Play event leading up to E3, and we had some Star Wars announcements.
Absolutely.
And the first thing that they announced was a brand new game, which is going to be called Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And ultimately, I'm just going to quote this article here. It's an original story of a surviving Padawan, Shet shortly after the events.
Padawan shitting?
So
must have been in the chamber when the baby killing was going on and shat himself.
So the article says set shortly, but I said shit shortly. After the events of Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. And it's coming out holiday of 2019. So we're still about a year and a half off from this thing being released. But it's also developed by, can't remember the name of the company, but the same people who made the Titan something games.
Okay.
I should have been more prepared for this.
I also should have been more prepared. Isaac's sight, by the way, is like he can't stay long currently on a canoe ride. So good job, Isaac.
Right?
Yeah, picking us up, podcasting in a canoe.
Yeah, don't drop your phone, Jesus.
Dude, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that one day. I'm gonna get on Google Hangouts and we're gonna do something on YouTube while I'm kayaking. I think it'd be fucking hilarious. Because you're gonna be near cell signal, so it's gonna come through. It'll just be on my my headphones, so it won't be the best. But yeah, fucking I'll do that shit. Fucking hilarious. Podcasting in a kayak.
That would be something. So yeah, it's Respawn Entertainment, and they are the people who made Titanfall 1 and 2. And if you're really that interested, Respawn is one of the founders. This is a guy, Vince Zampella. Long time ago, he used to make Call of Duty games back when Call of Duty was at its kind of like just starting to get to its peak when they made the first Modern Warfare game and all that. Wow. He was in charge of the studio that made that. Eventually left that company, lawsuits, blah, blah, blah. But now he's part of Respawn Entertainment, and they're making the Star Wars game.
Oh, boy.
So it's in good hands.
Exciting.
Developer-wise.
It's exciting.
We don't know much else about it beyond the fact that you're playing as a Jedi. You get a lightsaber, and we know the time frame. So no screenshots, no trailers, nothing yet. Maybe we'll see something this week at the actual E3 event. But as of right now, all we have is just what this announcement said.
So my question to you is, when you first heard about this, did you immediately think about I should have wrote it in the notes. How did I forget the name of the game? Force Unleashed.
No, but it could be along those same lines. It's probably going to be like a third-person action game where you use force powers and lightsabers.
It's a Padawan. You're going to have a lightsaber. You're going to be running around, fighting for your life. It's based on the time frame that they're talking about too. I mean, it could very well be, something modeled after what our not lead character, but our Jedi and Rebels. Fuck, dude, why am I fucking
Kanan?
Right now? Kanan, thank you.
Jeez. Yeah, this is week 2 in a row where you just have not been on your game. I don't know what's going on with you, Dave. Do we need to have a talk? Is everything okay?
I see my neurologist tomorrow. We'll find out. Or a new neurologist, I'll say that. But yeah, I immediately thought about The Force Unleashed when this when we were talking about the character and how they're going to play in the game. And I know Force Unleashed is one of your faves.
Yeah, it was great. I thought it was great. A lot of people didn't like it, but I thought it was fucking phenomenal. The Xbox version.
It was kind of an easy play when I played it. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, but it wasn't so like not challenging that it wasn't fun. You know what I mean? It was a good game. It was fun to play. I'm curious to see what they do with this, and it's even better that as we segue into what we're going to talk about with EA's announcements with Battlefront 2. Battlefront 2 having a little bit of competition for Star Wars games, having 2 major Star Wars games out at the same time. That's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, but I mean,
platformers go.
Yeah, but this thing's going to be out a year and a half from now. Battlefront 2 has already been out for closing in on a year, so there's enough time in between, I think.
That's true, but one of the things I want to talk about, again, we'll just segue right into the Battlefront 2 conversation. Yep. Battlefront 2. Based on what I posted something on our Facebook page, for those who follow us on Facebook, it was an article that EA put out, basically EA Star Wars, and to me it read as the headline is the past, the present, and future of Star Wars Battlefront 2, right? And they're talking about new Clone Wars era content is coming starting this fall, including Geonosis, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and General Grievous. Yep, fucking awesome. And I think you're going to get a lot of people that are going to be, developing interest in the game as you bring these characters into it. I could care less about the hero shit, to be honest with you.
But some people like it. A lot of people do like the heroes.
Yeah, I am just not one of those. So that particular, it doesn't excite me that's that particular thing. But what I found interesting about this article is it reads as it's just mea culpa to the fan base that was so upset with how Battlefront or how EA handled Battlefront 2 and its release and how disappointed people were in the game. And I think they're really trying to say, hey, out there, the fans out there, listen, we hear what you're saying. We're fixing the game. We're making it better. And, you know, at the end of the day, we want you to appreciate this content. And they also go into it, you know, talk about transparency, about telling you what's coming out. So at the end, my takeaway from this was basically EA saying, hey, we're sorry we fucked up.
Yeah.
And B, that Battlefront 2 is the game that's going to be around for a while. Like, we're going to work this game into the Star Wars universe. I would imagine that we're going to see, you know, even it like, but you said in the notes that we're anticipating this Fallen Order game to come out the holiday season 2019. What else comes out in 2019, the holiday season?
There's another movie coming out, I think, right?
Yeah, there's another movie, a big one.
Yeah, Episode 9. Yeah,
Episode 9's coming out. So I think Battlefront is going to lead into Episode 9 the same way it led into Last Jedi with some. We have some characters that are game specific that we saw that there was some level of interaction with the movie itself for Last Jedi, which definitely was interesting. It got me and you before you left. It got us to get online and play this game, or you know, not necessarily online, but on the Xbox to play it. So I think that this is EA telling us that, hey, this platform, this gaming engine is what we're going with for the foreseeable future.
Right. Yeah. As opposed to like doing what like they do with the Battlefield games and Call of Duty, instead of annual installments, they're like, this is our core game and we're just going to keep adding on to it.
Yeah. You know, you're not buying like, oh, we're going to do Modern Warfare, you know, 4.0 or some shit, you know, and basically repackage the same Call of Duty game. You know, I don't know that there is any point that they're going to have to continue to add gameplay and do different things. One of the things they do talk about in the article is there's going to be more like piloting events, like hero pilots, you know, being able to go out and do more star battles.
Yeah, it's in the notes that I made too. They're going to concentrate a lot on dogfighting and on heroes having their own ships. In fact, I'll just run down this because they announced a few things regarding Battlefront 2 through this EA Play event. First is the soonest thing that's coming out is on June 12th, which is Tuesday. They're releasing a bunch of Solo-inspired content. They're introducing Solo and Lando Calrissian characters based on the Alden Ehrenreich and Donald Glover appearance, and some other Solo-inspired content. And then, you talked about the Clone Wars, and they refer to it as an expansion. So I don't know if if this is going to be a paid expansion or if it's just going to be more free downloadable shit. They haven't talked about how they're going to monetize this or if they're going to monetize it. They said that's coming out in the fall, and it's, like you said, it's going to have a whole bunch of maps and characters, locations based off of the Clone Wars. And then, the Starfighter mode focuses on dogfights with hero ships, as well as a new large-scale multiplayer sandbox experience, which, you know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of your fucking little, whatever that game is that you were playing for a while. 100 people in an arena until one is left standing.
Oh, the Fortnite, like like a Fortnite type thing?
Yeah,
maybe.
Large-scale multiplayer sandbox experience. It revolves around capturing command posts and attacking capital ships. So, I don't know.
Listen, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to monetize it either. You would think that up to this point, the expansions haven't cost us anything. When we had the big expansions with the going into Last Jedi, when we had the story mode expansion, it didn't cost us anything. It was just a download. Now, that being said, if there's a large scale expansion, like, okay, we're going to be adding this level of content, and so they may charge, I don't necessarily have a problem with that if it's going to make it better.
No, because they have to make their money back. They're putting all this development into it. I mean, they do have to somehow turn a profit with it, which is fine as long as it's quality content and there's enough to justify the price.
Agreed. But if they don't, again, I think It's not a jug of water today. It's a Taco Bell.
Sorry, you were saying?
Was that a tasty burger? I have a couple of Pulp Fiction references.
Do you mind if I have some of your tasty beverage to wash this down?
There you go. What were we talking about? Oh, no, if EA does not charge us for such a large update, I think that goes down to the fact that they still, I mean, they're still going to be selling the game. Like, they'll sell the game in its entirety. Like, okay, you're going to buy the game with all this content. Like, if you go to buy it today, you know, you'll have all this downloadable content like immediately. I think they're still trying to sell the game. You know,
could be, yeah.
You have, they produce, like, let's say hard copies. Let's say they produce, 100 million copies, which I don't know if that's even reasonable, but whatever. And they've only sold 50 million. They may be thinking, wow, this is 50 million copies of this game that are still sitting on the shelf, that we can get that money. We improve the content to the point where it's almost like a new release, and the game's already on the shelf. You don't even have to wait for it. It's already there. You can go into your Xbox Live, or you can go into your PlayStation Store, and you can go and download this right now, and you're going to get all this content.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a good marketing technique for them, because it's like, hey, they obviously didn't make the money they thought they were going to when this game came out, because I think the people, it's kind of like the Solo movie. I think people were very hesitant after the reviewing of it.
Yeah.
But
and it's funny too, because we mentioned the whole Bob Iger calling the head of EA after Battlefront 2 it didn't flop or anything, but the whole backlash and everything that happened with it, he must have really fucking smacked him down during that conversation, because ever since then, EA's been like, please forgive us. We'll do everything we'll suck your dick, please.
You know what? And who can blame him?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm trying.
I'm not picking much up.
That's a shame.
Yeah. Dave's pouring his drink. His mic must have some sort of thing, because whenever you talk, I can sort of hear it in the background, but as soon as you stop talking, it cuts out. So.
Oh, well, that's one of the reasons that the sound quality got better, because there's like a thing built into the mic where it only really starts picking up until I talk, so it's not getting a lot of the background noise.
So yeah, the Diet Coke pouring might have to wait until we get back to the studio.
I'll just keep talking through it either way.
So all right, so we would be remiss if we don't talk at least a little bit about the whole Kelly Marie Tran thing that happened this week. We're not going to dive too deep into it, because we could probably do a whole episode on this. I'll just say this. Couple things. First, if you say racist shit to anybody, I don't care if it's through the internet, I don't care if it's face to face, any of that, fucking just go kill yourself, please. Don't grace us with your presence anymore. Just go away and die. However, that being said, I also think that if you are a celebrity and you do play shitty characters in the movies, if somebody messages you over social media and says, hey, I think your character fucking sucked, don't be in my movies anymore, that is not considered harassment. So that's really all I'm going to say about that. Dave, I don't know if you've even been catching up with the story at all. We haven't talked about it at all this week.
We talked about it for a quick second earlier in the week. There's a lot of people. That's the one thing. The one real big issue with social media and cyberbullying in general and things like that is that you have a lot of people that are big and bad with their words, and because it's anonymous.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I can say things to people and there's no recourse at all.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it's one of those things where for her level of fame before getting into Star Wars, and maybe some people could probably handle it, some people can't. Whether me personally, I don't think her acting was the issue in The Last Jedi. It was the story that she was put into.
Yeah, it was more Ryan Johnson than anything.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with her thing, but and regardless, I'm not a total fucking dickbag, and I'm not going to go on somebody's social media and go, you know how bad you sucked? You suck so bad you should die. You know, that's just fucking ridiculous. And you know, but that's where we are. That's where we are right now. You know, you had millions and millions of people on Twitter that all they do is troll people. They want response. They want somebody like her to shut down her accounts because those people go like, yeah, we did that because she sucks.
Yeah, and ultimately,
you know what? Fuck those guys. Yeah. And you know, it's the same people. Like, you know, we had our one, you know, 2-star review that went down to 1-star review that disappeared. You know, somehow.
It disappeared now.
Last time I looked, I didn't even see it. So okay. I don't know, maybe iTunes washed it out, but regardless, it's one of those things where like, you just like everyone's entitled to their opinion. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. Mm-hmm. But the reality is you also have to understand that there's other human beings out there that like I went on my fucking Marvel rant last fucking week. And
which was great, by the way.
I haven't listened to it yet. But that's my opinion. I don't expect like that to sway anybody one way or the other. That's me having this platform to fucking rant about it. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's what I did. By the way, fucking sidebar. Mm-hmm. Sidebar. So Kate went and saw the Infinity Wars or whatever the fuck it is. And
Infinity Wars. That's
she hated it.
Oh, really?
She did not like it. There's a whole litany of reasons, and there's a bunch of, you know, spoilers or whatever. I haven't seen the movie. I've only read the spoilers and shit. You know, I've read everything there is to read online because I really don't care to go see that movie.
Right.
And she really, really disliked it. She's like, why did they do this? Why did they do that? Like, that doesn't make any sense, and blah, 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 blah. You know, kind of like us breaking into things that happened in Last Jedi. Like, why did they choose to do this when this person could have done that type shit?
Yeah.
But she came back from it. And I asked her about it. I was like, yeah, what'd you think? She's like, I fucking hated it. Like, wow. Whoa, okay. And then she went on this rant. The best part was, so Kathy had listened to the podcast and she heard my rant. Last week's episode. This happened shortly after that. And you know, she had listened to me go on this rant. Caitlin comes home, like she had gone out to, you know, to PA out towards where she goes to school, and hung out with some friends, and they went and saw the movie. And then she came home and you know, we were talking about the next morning, and she's like, Kathy had just listened to the podcast, and now Kate's going on this rant about all the shit that she didn't like in the fucking movie, and I'm just like kind of lean back, like, yep, see, I'm like looking at Kathy, like, see, this is the shit I'm talking about. I'm not crazy. So anyway,
that's debatable, but
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Ultimately, I'll say this: Kelly Marie Tran, super nice person from what I can tell. I remember watching the red carpet for when Last Jedi premiered, and she was like crying, hugging Daisy Ridley because it was just such an overwhelming experience for her. Seems like a super nice person. I got nothing against her. However, I did not care for her character in that movie. And it's like you said, it's more Rian Johnson's fault than anything else.
Yeah.
So don't harass anybody online. It's really not worth it. And the problem too, though, is that, well, first of all, we haven't heard anything from her camp officially. This has all been speculation from other news websites and everything else. She deletes everything on her Instagram, and everybody's like, oh, see, she left Twitter or Instagram because of harassment, which may very well be the case, but she didn't officially say anything herself. I forgot where I was going with that.
I don't either. We haven't. It's all speculation and hearsay until you hear something officially from the camp. It's just like with these Star Wars spinoff movies that everyone wants to talk about.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about shit until fucking it comes across the Star Wars app and it's on a news feed that says new titles released.
Yeah.
Until that happens, then. Bronco Fett's online, by the way.
Oh, and, of course.
He has had quoted us as saying, "Don't harass people online," and it followed it up with a couple of carrots and a couple of potatoes. So,
speaking of online bullying, apparently your wife is taking this up another notch. So now apparently this is the potato and carrot show. I don't know how this happened. But
and it's racist too, because I have to be the fucking potato. My Irish ass is the potato somehow. So I don't know how that fucking works. You know,
wait a minute. Are Irish a race? Irish isn't a race.
Still racist. I don't care. Debatable. Regardless, it's upsetting.
Yeah. Don't be racist, kids.
Yeah. Don't finish school. Don't be racist. Don't cyberbully.
Yeah. Unless you're Dave's wife.
Yeah. Hi to Nick Jackson, okay. By the way. I'm not sure who that is. But yeah, he's in on a chat. Yeah, it's fucking potato and carrot. Do we want to address the potato and carrot show that she managed to find that's doing Star Wars parody stuff? I mean, everyone that's been in the private group knows that this is out there. But what's astounding to me, the level that she's gone to, that she came across this carrot and potato like animated show. It reminds me of something that would be on like the same people that draw Aqua Teen Hunger Force or something like that.
Yeah.
And then busting on Star Wars. The level that it's gotten to is pretty remarkable. I don't know how long we can keep the thing going, but it's pretty remarkable that she's managed to find these shows and incorporate us into that. So that's pretty funny.
So
anyway, what were we talking about?
We're going to move into our week before we get into the main topic. So we took up a whole bunch of space in the beginning talking about the EA stuff, but this week, I got a couple of good Star Wars stories this week. So, I'm in class down here in Mississippi, learning a bunch of computer stuff.
Right.
Doing this thing this week. And I talked about it before. Some of the people that have built the curriculum for these classes that I'm in were obviously Star Wars fans because they would drop Star Wars references into the PowerPoint slides and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing this thing now where we're doing they call it a capture the flag, where we're going through a computer network and we're looking for hidden files or something like that they call a flag. And there's hints spread throughout the network, like where you might find the next flag, all this other stuff. It's very intricate and detailed. But the point is, they threw a ton of Star Wars references into this, some obscure stuff, because you'll see how into
what the fuck.
Is everything okay over there? I saw some shit flying across the screen.
I didn't get hit, but there is a bag of carrots in the corner.
How did that get there? Oh my god. Oh my god. Tan those legs, Dave. Jesus Christ.
There was something else too. Here's the carrots. It's not written on this time.
I saw like 3 things go by.
I feel like she threw a potato too, but I don't see it, which is disturbing. Hey, did you throw a potato? Oi!
Yeah, we'll find it later.
Yeah, what's this wee shit? Did you? Oops, shit! There it is. Did you throw another one? I can't find it. God damn it!
Oh my god! She's chucking potatoes at you from across the room. What the fuck?
I thought she was at the store still. Apparently not.
Hey, do us all a favor.
What?
If you're gonna wear short shorts like that, tan your fucking legs, or don't wear shorts like that.
Who's wearing short shorts?
You, when you slid back, I saw your fucking upper thighs. They were gleaming white.
Can we not?
It was pretty disgusting, honestly.
Really? You want to talk about this? You want to talk about your the gleaming whiteness that is your fucking tank top right now? Which apparently I'm willing to bet that you wear for the fucking show. You go hang it up in your closet in a place of honor, and then fucking just put it right back on for the fucking podcast. Don't even wash it. Yeah, it's disturbing.
I can neither confirm nor deny these accusations. But anyway, can I get back to my story, please? Are you done?
Short thing. They're regular length shorts.
Those look pretty short to me.
Whatever. It's because I'm half a foot taller than you are.
That could be, you know.
Anyway.
It's all relative. So anyway, Capture the Flag, Computer Network, Star Wars references. So right off the bat, we find one of these clue files. And the question on it is, who is the first, because we're looking for a password to get into a certain system. And the password was, who is the only non-human to make the rank of Grand Admiral in the Empire? And I'm like,
that's an
nice.
Easy one.
It is. Every single person in my fucking class turns to me. Roscoe, you got this?
What?
I'm like, it's Thrawn. How do you not know Thrawn? They're like, oh. So I'm in a weird group of computer nerds who are not into Star Wars that much. Oh,
what's the age bracket of these people?
It varies. Like, we've got a 21-year-old going all the way up to me, a 41-year-old, and every age represented in between. We've got late 20s, early 30s, mid 20s, mid 30s, me. So it's a very diverse group of semi-nerdy people, but none of them are that into Star Wars. Like, none of them knew Thrawn was the only non-human Grand Admiral in the Empire. But it gets better. So then one of the files that they find is just an image. It's a JPEG. They pull it up, and it is a woman, flowing red hair with a lightsaber. They're like, Roscoe, you got this? Like, it's Mara Jade.
Jesus Christ, people. All right. Well, that's to me, that's probably a deeper cut than Thrawn.
Yeah, more than Thrawn for sure.
Yeah, it's because Thrawn's been in Rebels. He's been in more modern stuff. There's the novelization, all the other stuff's come out. And you would have had to have been into expanded universe to get the Mara Jade reference. So yeah. I almost will give that to you, to them, almost, but still, come on.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it blew my mind that none of them knew the Thrawn thing. But as soon as any Star Wars reference popped up, they immediately turned to me. They're like, all right, you got this? What is this? Because they know I'm the Star Wars guy. So
well, obviously, you host a Star Wars podcast, so you have a reputation to maintain.
Mm-hmm.
Which,
another
good.
Thing.
Way to represent.
Yes, absolutely. And a few guys in the class keep saying they're going to listen to the show, but I don't think they have yet. So whatever, fuck them. And
yeah, fuck you. Fuck you for not listening. And if you are listening, good job. Way to go.
So we were talking about the Solo soundtrack a couple weeks ago or last week. And I don't know if you have it, but with Amazon Prime, if you pay like a little bit of extra money on top of your Prime account, I think it's like another $8 a month or some shit, you get the Amazon Music, which is another music streaming service that on there, because we have it, Kristen and I have it because she signed up for it last year and we've just always had it. Fucking, they have everything on there. I have never searched for a single piece of music that I didn't find on this Amazon Music.
Right.
Every fucking Star Wars soundtrack is on that thing, to include Solo. So if you have an Amazon Prime account and if you have the Amazon Music, you can probably access every piece of fucking Star Wars music there is out there for free streaming on the Amazon Music. So I just wanted to bring that up in case people didn't know, because I searched on there and I saw Solo was on there. I'm like, fuck yeah. And I listened to a bunch of the tracks, especially the Kessel Run part and everything else. So
which they don't call the Kessel Run.
No, but I mean, I had to kind of search to find it. But are you going away? What's he doing?
Just getting something for my week in Star Wars.
Oh, okay. It was very distracting. So the last thing
that's what I do, man. Come on, it's my whole thing.
That is true. So the last thing that I have, Dave, I'm going to send you a text message right now. My lovely wife, Kristen, who I love very much, went to a book sale that our local library had this week. And I guess they do this once a year.
Holy fuck.
They liquidate a bunch of their books, and holy shit, they had a ton of Star Wars books. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this on the YouTube feed, but I'm going to put that up anyway. That stack right there
is
a bunch of
smidge.
Yeah, that's a bunch of books that she bought me. Half of them are hardcover, and it is a lot. And I think she got them for like $2 a piece. She ended up getting
The Han Solo trilogy's in there.
Yeah, like $50 total.
The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi.
It's a lot of shit.
There is a lot in here. Wow. And Rebel Rising, which you haven't read yet.
Yep. Yes, there's new and old canon books, like all kinds of shit in there. And she bought all of this stuff. Wow. I think she ended up, she said she ended up paying like $73 total for all this stuff. And it looks like it's over 50 books. So when I come home, the Jedi archives are going to be even bigger. The sacred Jedi texts. So
that's pretty impressive. Way to go, Kristen.
I'm gonna post this on social media now that I've announced it here on the show. I'll put it in our private Facebook group. I'll put it on Instagram. So follow us on all of those if you want to see this stack of books that I fucking got. Well, I wasn't even in New Jersey. My wife just went out and got them for me on her own. So
that's awesome.
Best wife ever. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Dave. What have you been doing this week?
So ironically, like you were busting my balls about the school stuff. I've been doing, I've got 2 classes, and for whatever reason, my 40-year-old ass or 40-year-old brain is just like having a hard time with it. But it's my first 2 classes in like 7 years. So I'm still trying to find my battle rhythm for all that shit. So I haven't really done much anything Star Wars wise. I'd love to be playing some Battlefront and doing stuff like that, but just it hasn't happened. However, I did manage to do one thing.
Yes.
It was on eBay. I got myself. This is the LP of the original soundtrack to Star Wars. And awesome. it was, I think it was $24 with the shipping. And it is fantastic.
And if you don't know what an LP is, kids, it's a record.
It's a record.
Vinyl, as they refer to it.
Yes. It's making a comeback, and it's kind of trendy. It's something that the John, multiple guests on the show, it kind of like re-inspired me to get back into vinyl. But and I know he has these, but they're in fantastic shape. It was a great purchase. And I played it the other day while I was working on some homework, and it was like listening to it, the way it's cut. Like you said, you can go on the Amazon Music, right? If you go and find the original Star Wars soundtrack, you're going to find probably about 16 songs or so.
Yeah,
this doesn't have that many tracks. However, the tracks that are on here are like the movie track. You know what I'm saying? It's not like. It's not broken up into different scenes and things like that. And I wish I have this little tiny record player back here that I picked up, and it doesn't do it justice for the sound. Like when you're playing the Throne Room, which is the title on, if you go on Amazon Music, I'm sure if you put the Throne Room, you put that in there. It's not the actual title,
right?
In fact, I'll look it up because it's fucking awesome. It is by far one of my favorite, sounds in the planet is to listen to. Well, it is a Throne Room. Never mind. It's a throne room and then title, and but on this side, the side 4 here, this side of the record is probably the best. 4. Yeah. So there's two.
Like 2 actual records in there.
There's 2 records. So the last battle, which is 12 minutes, and then the Throne Room and the end title. What they play at the end credits. It's fucking great. It's so good. It's upside down. But yeah, it was. Finding it for so cheap on eBay, I was astounded. I mean, and it's like the original 1977 fucking release of the soundtrack. That's awesome. And it sounds great, and it's just a really, really cool thing to do. And like I said, I threw it on in the background while I was doing some homework the other day, and there's just some nostalgia to it, like listening to it in that format, and records were, that was it. That was the medium back in 77. You know,
yeah,
you had records and probably 8-track. I doubt Star Wars ever came out on 8-track.
I doubt it. That would be a unique find if it ever did.
That would be. It'd be that's worth looking on eBay for, just to have.
eBay. Oh, now I have to look for this.
Yeah, you do. So anyway, that's I got that, and then honestly, that's it. I've been doing school shit, and I'm sure there was other things that happened this week, but none of it was Star Wars related. But coming back to the school thing, this fucking I'm so old. And the kids, like, both, you know, I have one kid at Penn State and one kid at Rutgers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And both of them use MLA for their, you know, when you write a paper, you have to write in a particular format, and they both use MLA, right? Embry-Riddle uses APA, which is, it's a completely different thing. I had to buy the fucking APA book, you know, the 6th edition, because, you know, oh, we made a writing format. Well, let's make 6 different versions of it. Fuckers. So anyway, I've spent so much time being frustrated with, like, if I'm, you know, this one paper I wrote and submitted this morning, it was more about making sure, I spent more time making sure that my citations were correct than I did about the actual content of the fucking paper. And, you know, Jason knows, he had to sit through me lecturing, you know, a class, because you know, I'd have to teach group classes or whatever in the squadron. But that's my preferred method. Like, when I originally went to Embry-Riddle, you know, my first stint, it was, they gave you content, and it said, okay, develop a presentation, and then, you know, you're going to lecture the class. And it was in classroom environment, and I would go up, and you know, this is how much time you have to do the presentation. This is what they expect you to cover, and made my slides, get up there, lecture. I can, you know, be funny and brighten it up, and be able to, you know, really see the audience and get reaction and everything else. And that's my preferred method of teaching, and quite frankly, of learning. Right. These online classes and doing the discussion stuff, and just, you know, answering people's discussion things just for the sake of doing it, because so I don't get a bad grade, is just fucking bullshit. Like, the APA is bullshit. No, you want to do online fucking schooling, make it so that you have some live interactive content. Don't do this fucking, here's a discussion question, you have to answer 3 of them.
Right.
What are you fucking learning? What are you learning? I'm just appeasing the fucking curriculum.
Yeah, you're doing it to check a box.
Yeah, exactly. And guess what? I get to do that for a fucking year right now. So I'm not it's tough to complain about the situation, I guess, but it's been very, very frustrating for me.
Yeah. I feel you.
I get to do that, and then I get to go to doctor's appointments and not have fun and play Star Wars. So it's upsetting, quite frankly.
It's the life of a retiree, right?
Allegedly. This particular life of this retiree. But anyway, that's it. APA format. Got this for you right here.
Yeah. So before we get into our main topic today, I think we need to take a very quick break.
It better be quick. We're on a timer here.
It's all right. The bathroom's right there.
Go. Do it now. Hurry up.
All right. So we will be, hold on, let me get my papers, write down exactly where 37 break. So we will be right back after this word from our sponsors.
There's no sponsor, although he may insert sponsors. Who knows? It could be, you know, Bolt House Farms, baby cut carrots. It could be fucking Singular Potato, of which there is probably another rolling around in this fucking room that I just cleaned up today. Fucking carrots and potatoes. All right, so let me catch up on the chat here while we're going. Bronco Fett, you haven't seen nearly enough, Mr. Martin, just by the way. Apparently, Bronco Fett was also not a fan of Rebel Rising. That's a shame. Scott Rasmussen says, now place your bets how long it would take Mr. Roscom to read them. He's not going to read all those books, folks. There's no fucking way. Those are to make your impressive library. You know, that'll be lining the walls of the studio for decorative purposes. I guarantee you, he will not be reading all those books. He may read some of the stuff that's closer to the canon, but he's not reading all that. Who posted as all things Star Wars at least 20 years? What was that?
You still here?
Oh, I am. Got a nice find, Mr. Martin. Oh, for the record. Thank you.
Yes,
I love it. All things Star Wars posted at least 20 years. Jason, are you logged in as all things Star Wars in your YouTube thing?
Apparently on my iPad I am. I was answering Scott's question about how long it's going to take me to read all those books.
Oh, I said you're not reading all of them. There's no way. Those are for decorative purposes only.
I might. You don't know. So anyway, are we ready to restart?
Yes, please.
All right. So we'll restart back 39 back. Give me 10 seconds and we'll roll back into it. And we're back. Oh God, what happened to that potato? Oh, it's got like potato AIDS or something. That's potato cancer. That's
got some eyes growing to it. She's not going to throw fresh potatoes at me. Why waste it? Kind of reminds me of like an asteroid, like in Empire. They're going through the asteroid.
Yeah. So, sidebar before we get into our main topic. So I've got my whole setup here.
There's a topic today.
Yeah, kind of. So I'm living out of this hotel room, right? There's a cleaning service, housekeepers that come through every single day, take out your trash, restock your little sink area and all that, vacuum the floors every couple of days, and they make my bed. It's very nice. But I've got my whole setup here, right? I've got my desktop here, got my webcam, got my mic right here on the desk. I also have the I have to pee sign. It's like right here on the desk that you can see. And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, God, what are they thinking is going on in here when they come in and clean my rooms? They see this whole fucking setup. I got this whole like command center right here, in addition to the I have to pee sign that has been here for 3.5 months since I've been down here.
Let's not mention, like, they got to really wonder about your habits too, because behind you is still the half open box for your fucking power supply.
Correct.
Like, when you plan on getting rid of that?
I've just been meaning to like incognito throw it into a couple of trash bags and then just drop it in the dumpster. I'm sure you're supposed to like recycle it and take it to a hazmat center and all that, but I'm just trying to find a way to quick and easily dispose of it.
Just drop it in the fucking trash can. They'll take it out. Then you won't deal with it. You could fucking recycle the box it came in, but
no, I'm talking the computer parts itself. You're not supposed to just throw those into a dumpster. You're supposed to take them to like a recycling center. I'm pretty sure that's the rule.
This pause is for the fact that I have this distinct recollection of, like, hey, being in the studio, so hey, Jason, where's your recycling bin? It's like, nah, fuck it, just throw it away. I just have this distinct memory of that. And then suddenly now we're environmentally conscious because it's fucking computer parts.
Oh, I'm not environmentally conscious. I just don't want to get in trouble. That's all. I'm just looking out for myself. That's all this is about.
Whatever. I'm just gonna have to stare at it in the background. I look at it every fucking week, by the way, along with that goddamn fucking tank top. Which I wonder what maybe if I contact the Air Force Inns and say, hey, listen, in Mr. Roscom's room, there is a gray tank top with what is now pink edging. That is trash. That needs to go in the trash. Like, take that and use it as a rag when you wipe down his toilet and then throw it away.
If you could pull that off, I'd be impressed. If you could actually convince them to confiscate this, then I would, I'd be impressed.
If your wife is listening, this is your next big project.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, our main topic this week.
Yeah, we got to get to our main topic. How much time do we have left, by the way?
We're about halfway there.
You're about your fucking pee break.
Actually, a little over halfway. Yeah, we got about 30 minutes to cover this before we have to go. So, yes, the Poe Dameron comics. Bronco Fett's been busting our balls trying to get us to cover this for a while. It was always something that I meant to touch on, but, life happens and there's just not enough time for everything. But we saw a window, an opening, because we finished the last Vader comics. We're sick of the fucking Star Wars comics. So it was a good, fresh starting point. It was either this or Vader. We had debated doing like the first 5 of this and then the first 5 of Vader. But because they're in such different timelines, different eras of the Star Wars universe, there's no point in combining them into one episode. So we're like,
I'll be honest with you too. It'd be like talking like, oh, let's talk about this pile of shit over here, and then let's talk about this thing of beauty over here. Might as well get the pile of shit out of the way.
Okay, well, I personally don't think that this was a pile of shit per se, but
I am not a fan.
These first 7 issues, I was not a fan of. It was, like you said before we started, it was a very slow burn. So it starts out, and first of all, just to give you a little background, these started popping out in April of 2016. So 4 months after Force Awakens came out, the Poe Dameron comic started. And here I am thinking, oh, maybe these are going to give us some background leading into the Force Awakens, maybe a little backstory on the Resistance and the First Order.
No, why would it do that? Why?
Yeah.
Because that would actually be useful.
Yeah, it's very, 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 very small bits about both. Very little that's actually going to give you any kind of backstory, because they want to save all that shit for the movies, apparently, which they're not even doing it there. Like, we got almost nothing in Last Jedi, but that's a whole other story. So, yeah, the first Poe comic started in April of 2016, and then there was a new one released every month, and it's still going on right now, as far as I know, right?
I think... I don't know. You know what? I think I stopped my Poe subscription. I put Dameron subscription. I don't know.
Oh, did you?
I don't know what they're on.
Well, looking at Wikipedia, yeah, a new one was just released in July or June of this year. So yeah, they're still being released.
I'll wait until it comes out on Marvel Unlimited. I mean, honestly, we'll get to it, but like I said, I'm not a fan of the writing style or even the artwork in this comic. Is not held my attention at all. When the first few that came out, I mean, I have the hard copy of the first, I think, fucking 17, 20 of them, however many. But
yeah, so it takes place in 34 ABY, which is the same year as The Force Awakens itself. It takes place before The Force Awakens, at least these books that we've read. I think he eventually crosses The Force Awakens and even into The Last Jedi in later issues of the comics, but we haven't gotten to that part yet.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts off with Leia talking to Poe. The Resistance is already formed and everything else. And she's like, hey, Lor San Tekka guy might know where Luke is. Can you go find him? So we're already introduced to the whole Lor San Tekka thing. We're thinking, okay, well, maybe this will give us some backstory on him, how he knows where Luke is, blah, blah, blah. Don't see any of that in these first 10 books, at least. We might later on. But the first,
you see some holographic image of a guy in fucking Indian style.
Yeah. And the first like 5 issues of this, it's all him bouncing from place to place, trying to find Lor San Tekka, being like, oh, he was just here, but now he's gone. But while you're here, get into this adventure because the First Order is hot on his tail. Really kind of by the book stuff. Not very interesting at all. Again, these first 7 books. It starts really picking up with number 8.
So I want to talk about in the notes, right? So one of the few times I actually make notes is I basically gave a one-liner for each one of the comics, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for number one, basically it starts promising with some panels of Leia talking to Poe, saying, here's the Lor San Tekka, blah, 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 blah. This is what the mission's going to be. Go out with your band of fucking misfits and go find this guy. And which, by the way, Poe is the worst. He is the worst leader ever. Like, he has no like, all right, this is the plan. And they're like, wait, this plan sucks. Like, okay, let's go. And it fucking takes off on us doing a stupid plan, leaving the rest of the fucking flying squadron to go like, we're completely fucked. The Empire's all around this. What did you get us into, you fucking idiot? And now let's repeat that fucking 6 times in this 10 comics. But I think if I could sum up the first comic in one word, it would be egg, or the egg. Because that's what it's about. They fucking flies into this cavern, runs into a bunch of people. They're fucking worshiping this giant blue egg.
Yeah.
And that's it. And he interacts with those people. They get mad at him. He's like, no, I'm a cool guy. I'm going to say a bunch of goofy shit. Which he does constantly in this fucking comic. This comic series is annoying because it's constantly Poe Dameron like using campy dialogue to show like what a fun-loving like kind of character he is. We get it. Knock it the fuck off. I mean, seriously. When you're writing this shit, don't you feel like I've written this before? Didn't I just write this like 3 panels ago? Or maybe even a one book ago? No fucking recollection of that. Let's have some even more campy dialogue. Fucking ridiculous. The best part of this first comic in this series was the like 3 or 4 page Calvin and Hobbes style drawn. Like it's like BB-8 like pushing 2 people together. Like it's like
it was like some additional story they added at the back of the book.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with like really any other plot line except for just I think I love Calvin and Hobbes, huge Calvin and Hobbes fan. And I love there's an artist, you can follow him on Instagram. He works for Disney and he draws mashups for like little Kylo Ren and with like adult Leia. Like if you're into Calvin and Hobbes at all, you'd understand Kylo Ren representing like Calvin and Leia being the mom. Like so he draws those. And I don't know that if he drew that one or not. I should have looked that the fuck up. And I also should have looked up his name. But I didn't. So good luck finding him. But that was probably to me the best part of that comic. It's like, oh, this is cool. Like, I hope they do this again. And they don't. But
well,
anyway, the first one is the egg.
Yeah, one thing about this first issue, though, is they really make it stand out right from the get-go, is that the story group is doing a good job of being consistent with references and keeping the timeline straight and everything. We talked about it before we went live, but Tim Wexley is part of this Black Squadron, right? He had only a visual part in The Force Awakens, but we know he's part of Poe's squadron. And Tim Wexley, if you don't remember, he's the kid from Aftermath. It was his mom was the main character. He went along with the Band of Misfits. His droid was the fucking psycho battle droid. And he mentions in this first episode that, yeah, I fought at the Battle of Jakku, but I was like 16 or something like that. This was released in April of 2016. The Empire's End novel, which that actually happened in, didn't come out for another year until February of 2017. So they had all of this shit planned out well ahead of time. They did a good job of keeping everything straight, not throwing out any plot holes or inconsistencies with the timeline. And they've done a really good job, and we've talked about this before, integrating all of these storylines across video games and fucking comics and novels, especially around this Battle of Jakku, because it's such a central part of this new canon. It feels like everything kind of revolves around that, from the fucking movies to the video games, books, comics, everything references this Battle of Jakku, and we see that later on in these Poe comics too.
Yeah, that is it. Not necessarily just in the Dameron comics, but I think just in our canonical timeline in general. I don't think we know enough about the Battle of Jakku. Yeah, considering it is one of the most integral battles, like we don't see a huge battle sequence where all this shit happens. We see the like lead in, and then we see the aftermath of it.
Yeah, well, we sort of got a first-person view during the Battlefront II single-player campaign. We were part of that. It was mostly Iden looking for her dad, trying to get her dad out of there. But you know, you do fly around during that battle. You fucking land on Jakku a couple of times, then take back off into space.
Agreed. That's you're absolutely right. But I think, you know, for something that's that big, you feel like there would be more to it. Oh, yeah. Maybe they go back to that. You know, you could do a whole thing on that battle, in some form or fashion. But I don't know. To me, it's really for something that's so huge to our universe right now. It's like we know so little about it. You know,
yeah.
So maybe we get
back. Yeah, getting back to the Poe comics, these first few issues was all about these fucking egg people and Poe being on the planet, and then the First Order coming to the planet, fighting, and eventually the egg hatches, big ugly monster. And yeah, ultimately Poe saves the egg people, and they're like, okay, Lord Santeca wasn't here, but we know who saw him next, and it's this Gracchus the Hutt. So then we move on to another like 3 or 4 book series where it's like them going to Gracchus. Okay, have you seen Lord Santeca? Well, I do know where he went next, but to hear that information, you have to do this, this, and this. And that's kind of the theme of these first, God, like fucking 6 or 7 issues.
Well, I think I don't want to glaze over. In the second book, we're introduced to Agent Terex.
Yes, and he's actually important, and he's a good character.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
He's kind of a cocky guy because you initially see him with his interaction with the First Order. You get the impression that he's almost like a bounty hunter or a mercenary, where he's working for the First Order to do these things. The biggest thing to take away from this character is the ship that he's in, and that's the Carrion Spike. And we know the Carrion Spike is Tarkin's ship.
Well, see, that's the thing. I didn't know that because I haven't read the Tarkin book or anything like that. But in issue 8 or 9 of the Dameron series, they do mention it. They're like, oh yeah, the Carrion Spike used to be Tarkin's
specifically in a flashback to how it does start getting into Terex's background and starts talking about, I'd almost rather call him just TK603 as opposed to fucking Terex. Spoiler alert. But yeah, so that's the big takeaway for the second book. Again, more campy interaction between even him and Poe with the egg people and the fucking stormtroopers and this other shit. Mm-hmm. To the point where the stormtroopers fucking use flamethrowers or I should say First Order troopers.
Yes.
Use flamethrowers to basically boil the egg. It hatches.
And Terex makes an omelet joke, by the way.
Yeah, it's the God, my God. And then this Batman comes out, which is basically what it was. Actually, what it really reminded me of is like what's it from The Tick, the Mothman.
Oh yeah.
That's what it reminds me of. It's like that same color, like blue. Like and he hatches, and they're like, "Oh well, you're here to protect this or whatever," and he starts fucking lighting everything up.
Yeah, like backhands all these people that were like worshiping him, and our savior. Boom,
boom. Yeah, take that, bitches, dumbass motherfuckers. But there's another bigger Batman that comes out from the from
and where did it fucking come from?
Nowhere.
It came from nowhere. That was never explained where this other fucking egg creature came from.
No, assuming he must have hatched from a similar egg, and then
it was the same species.
That's the protector of whatever these other people were. It's just fucking dumb.
Yeah,
it
made no fucking sense,
and just disappointing and dumb.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then we at episode 4 for me, like when we get this introduction to Gracchus the Hutt, who's on a prison planet.
Yeah, which this was not our introduction to him. This is not the first time we've talked about him on the podcast.
No, it is not. Yeah. But it's our introduction to him in the series here.
Yeah, because if you remember, he's the Hutt that was on Nar Shaddaa that captured Luke back in the Star Wars comics.
Right.
Back in the day, he collected all the Jedi fucking artifacts and shit like that. Well, now he's found himself in prison.
Right, he's on his prison planet where it's like, oh, it's got all this extra gravity, so it's fucking dumb. The premise is dumb. You get what bothered me. A couple things that bothered me about episode 4, or book 4 is an unattractive Twi'lek completely takes me out of it. Like, really? Like, what is she, like 100 years old? Like, this is the first unattractive Twi'lek female that I've seen.
So unrealistic.
It is. It completely took me out of my suspension of disbelief. And then you get Gracchus the Hutt in a bath, like with Poe and Terex. I'm like, really? Like, oh, my skin's so dry, like, oh my God.
Yeah, he's like rolling around in the bath as he's like negotiating with the two of them.
Jesus Christ. Can't. I just fucking can't. So anyway, book 5 is the breakout. You know, schemes are hatched. You know, more shitty leadership by Poe by like having a crap plan and said crap plan going to crap. And then the T-Rex guy also made a deal to get, the whole thing is to get Gracchus out. So Gracchus, you know, makes a deal with Poe and with the T-Rex.
Yeah.
And then Poe somehow lucks into fucking, you know, it's the droids. The fucking droids like somehow disable the fucking gravity thing, except for just isolated on them, so they can walk around, and they get Gracchus off planet. And then it's just fucking ridiculous. Yeah, it's just dumb, just fucking dumb. And at the end of the day, guess what? Gracchus goes back, gives the Resistance some intel, and then disappears.
Yeah.
The end.
Oh, but we'll see him again.
Well, not in the next 3 books or so.
Yeah.
That was it. That was the end.
Yeah.
And then in book 6, you know, it's you know, the finishing to break out, all the other stuff, blah, 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 blah. And I thought it was complete bullshit that the Carry-On Spike like was so vulnerable to Black Squadron that like basically what happens is Black Squadron turns around because the Carry-On Spike was like killing all the escape pods from the prison planet. The whole thing was like, I guess the controller of the planet was like, we'll lose all this money if all those prisoners die, so get them off the planet. So the Carrion Spike starts knocking escape pods out, which Poe Dameron's like, oh, we got to save them. Turns everybody around to fucking go back, and they beat up on a Carrion Spike, and then like he has to fucking run away.
But the funny thing is right before that, he flew the fucking Carry-On Spike through that goddamn space station that was controlling the fucking prison colony.
Yeah. Yeah. He
just like flew right into the fucking space station. Like he went in like a needle, because that's what the Carry-On Spike is kind of shaped like. But then when the fucking 5 X-Wings turn around and shoot him a little bit, it's like, oh, we're disabled. What the fuck?
Yeah, well, and the crew is like, you know, can we really, you know, this is this squadron, you know, whatever. You know, Poe Dameron himself could just take us out. I'm like, why? I don't believe that. You know, the legacy of what the Carrion Spike is as far as a ship, you know, with the cloaking device and everything else. It's like, I didn't buy that for a second. So, and he ends up running away. Turek ends up running away. And my notes, I put the best part of that was when, you know, Phasma calls up, because Phasma's like his fucking point of contact with the First Order. And, you know, he's real fucking, you know, real shitty to Phasma all the time, which I think is fucking hilarious. And he basically, he hangs up on her. She's like, you know, bitching him out. And then he's like, yeah, nope, I'm done. I'm done talking to you. Yep. And you know why? Because Phasma's a fucking punk bitch. That's why. Fucking worthless ass character. Punk bitch.
Yeah. Thank you, Ryan Johnson.
And the fucking, it's not just that. That is not just Ryan Johnson. That is also the fucking writers of the book, which was and the comic, which was bleh.
Yeah, it was really bad. So it was about this point, though, where I started making notes about the artwork in this. The artwork in these books is actually really good. I don't know if you feel the same way. But I think it's good.
No.
You don't think so, huh? So, okay, well.
If you draw an unattractive Twi'lek, then that's you lost me.
That's the deal breaker for you?
It is a deal breaker.
They're very generous to Leia, by the way. They make her look a lot more human-like than she actually looks in Force Awakens and Last Jedi. So
cocaine's a hell of a drug.
It is. At this point, you were talking about the leadership thing. I'm curious, why don't they make Lulo the leader of the fucking squadron and just have Poe being one of his, you know, his top guys? Because Lulo, if you remember, he's the Duros, the blue-skinned Duros guy who flew with fucking Poe's mom and dad back during the Shattered Empire days.
No, and you also work with them in Battlefront II. As you're going through all that. Oh, you mean a proven leader, a battle-worn fucking proven leader?
Yeah, he's part of this Black Squadron, and he has no leadership in the squad at all.
None.
So why not make him the leader and just have Poe be one of your top?
Leia's racist. That's why.
Oh,
that's why. That's why. Like, yeah, it's got to be it.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's got to be it. This is like, nope. He can't be the leader because he's a Doros. It's got to be a human. And Poe, I choose you because you're the better pilot.
Yeah, and you're white.
That's like picking fucking. I can't make. There's no analogy I can make right now. I was going to try to make like a Top Gun analogy where they pick Tom Cruise because he's the better pilot, not necessarily the better leader. But let's face it. We've got, between the two of us, 40 plus years of military experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is about right. This is about right. You take the guy who's like, oh, he's always up somebody's ass, it's like, oh wow, he's such a good pilot, he's going to end up having to be a good leader, blah 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 blah. Take the guy with proven leadership ability and everything else. You don't promote him to squadron commander. Leave some other guy, to be the squadron commander, who's a complete fucking moron, like makes shitty decisions and gets lucky 99% of the time. Yes, absolutely. Let's make that guy the fucking squadron commander. Absolutely.
When you put it like that, it actually does make sense.
Have we not lived this, Jason?
No, we have.
We this very scenario. So anyway, it all makes sense now.
Yeah. And fuck Leia. Yeah, that fucking racist bitch. So we go to. So yeah. Gracchus gives him the information. It's like, oh, I haven't seen Lor San Tekka in this long, but you might find him in one of these locations. So the fucking search for Lor San Tekka continues. Who knows how long they're going to stretch this shit out?
It's got to be this entire fucking Dameron series, because what the hell else are they going to talk about?
I don't know, but it takes place the year of Force Awakens. So is this whole fucking thing? Now, they do eventually get away from looking for him for the next 4 issues, but like, how many times is this going to come up, and are they going to keep going back to this well? Why?
Because they start getting into the Terex backstory, and actually make it a little bit interesting, talking about like where this guy came from.
But before we got to that, we got to issue 7, which was about this Sura Linda Javos, which is she's some like fucking fishy looking species.
She's a squamaton.
Yes,
I wrote it in the notes because she said it.
Yeah,
watch out, they spit.
Yeah. And this was the book where I literally fell asleep while I was reading it. I'm like laying on my bed.
They took a Star Trek alien.
She looks like a Klingon. She looks like a blue Klingon.
Yeah. With fucking Vulcan ears. Like they took a Star Trek. No, actually, you know what they did? They took a Klingon and a fucking Vulcan, and they merged it with an Avatar.
There you go.
That's what she is. And they make it out to be this like this hot thing, like whatever. And I'm like, are you really? We're really doing this now? And the entire episode is, again, it's Poe Dameron without the rest of the fucking flying squadron, making poor decisions. I would like to have counted in these first 7 books how many times Poe Dameron says, I can fly anything. That should be a drinking game in this fucking series. I can fly anything. I can fly anything. I can fly anything.
Take a shot.
Great. Good job. Good for you. Obviously, that's why you're a squadron commander, because you can fly anything. Guess what? I can drive anything. I should be the next squadron commander.
Clearly.
But it's just one of those things that it just drove me fucking crazy. The repetition of the nonsense and the campiness, getting captured yet again because you're a fucking idiot, and saying shit to your captors like that
would normally get your ass shot.
Yeah, no, shoot this motherfucker in the face. Shut him up.
Yeah. Again, very lucky to even be alive. But yeah, I even wrote in my notes, I literally fell asleep during this issue. Not that it was that boring, but it kind of was. And ultimately, the only good part about this was when, the reporter chick spit on the fucking guy's face who had captured her. Her fucking little fork tongues goes out and that.
Like I said, watch out, they spit.
Yeah. So we're getting close on time, so we got to move this along. Finally, issues 8 through 10, we actually got to some good shit. And it wasn't because of Poe. It was because we started getting the backstory on this Terex guy.
Yep.
We knew he was part of the First Order. He even mentioned in one of the first issues that he was a former stormtrooper, but we didn't really know much about him. Throughout these next 3 books, we get a lot of flashbacks, starting with the Battle of Jakku, him as TK-603.
Yes.
Was it?
Yep.
Yeah, TK-603 and another stormtrooper fucking looking at the decimated fields of Jakku being like, fuck, we lost. Now what are we going to do?
Well, the irony, what I think it was clever in the writing was that they're in his flashback and it's 3 stormtroopers. You know, one of them's a sergeant. He's got his the pad on. The sergeant's like, all right, let's go. We got to keep fighting. Even though they know they're looking at, and all the fucking Star Destroyers are like crashed into the fucking planet, right?
Yeah, because they just watched the Super Star Destroyer crash into Jakku.
Right. So they're like, that's it. We're fucked. That's it. It's over. You know, it's kind of like everyone's standing there watching the Death Star blow up, going, "Yeah, no, that's fucking, we're done."
Yeah.
But instead, they actually give some dialogue that says like, "This was the last effort of the Empire," and they're fucking done. So. You see one of the stormtroopers basically like tell the sergeant like, no, well, this is over. This is done. And the sergeant's like, no, you'll keep going. And then the dude shoots the stormtrooper.
Yeah.
And then, so the 2 stormtroopers are having a dialogue, and you would think just based on, okay, this is Terex or Terex or whatever. And we're doing a flashback that Terex would have been the guy who shoots the stormtrooper. It wasn't.
Right.
It was the other guy. His name was, I want to say Kronos. That's not right.
Something similar, but yeah, you're on the right track.
Anyway,
it's irrelevant.
So that guy ends up being the guy who's like, hey, take off your fucking gear. Let's get the fuck out of here. I know some people, and we're going to do some shit.
Yeah.
And that's all the
while, Terex is like, oh, we got to get back to the Empire. We got to find out where they regrouped.
Yep.
And his concern is getting back to the Empire because he was a very loyal soldier for the Empire.
Yep. Yeah, and it was interesting too to see the samurai like as this is being told, like they're on the carrion spike and he's going into the back office where he keeps his samurai stormtrooper uniform.
Yes, the actual samurai stormtrooper outfit. Like I didn't think they actually used that in any kind of actual Star Wars canon, but there it is.
Yeah, it's the way the armor is and everything else. It's obviously been pimped out for a particular reason, which we come to find later. Are we on time?
Yeah, we got about 10 minutes left. So
anyway, I wanted to point out one of the big things. Like, so book 8 is basically when we find out where Terex comes from. Book 9 is the C-3PO spy network that we know had been written into Force Awakens, but cut due to movie length and everything else. It's just not something that made the movie. But we know from J.J. Abrams and from others that it was part of the story. This is where we get a glimpse into like the C-3PO run droid information network. Yeah,
which is kind of neat.
Yeah, I thought it was cool to kind of, I don't know, I won't call it fan service, but it was definitely something like the way, what I thought was interesting about it was the way that 3PO put it is like, we're fucking droids, we're everywhere, nobody gives a shit about us, we're the perfect fucking spies.
Yeah,
and
we just walk freely amongst everybody, and nobody questions them.
Exactly. So it was interesting.
So what did you? Oh, go ahead. Well, I was gonna say, what did you think about the whole Kanja Club and Guavian Death Gang part of issue number 9?
So because 3PO is telling the fucking story about Solo and him disappearing and like the estrangement from Leia and all that, and meanwhile the Guavian Death Gang's like sitting in the back of the bar going like, what was that?
Yeah.
What's going on with Solo? We're looking for that guy. And then you see them
like, or no, it wasn't the Guavian Death Gang, it was the Kanja Club guys.
Whatever.
Well, no, because C-3PO said as he was talking, like, yeah, we heard Solo borrowed a bunch of money from the Guavian Death Gang, and then Kanja Club hears that and they're like, what the fuck? And then in the background, you see the fucking Guavian Death Gang people and the Conjure Club people come together, and they're like bickering back and forth. And then they eventually like shake hands. Yep. So we're basically led to believe that C-3PO spilled the beans about Han Solo to these two groups without realizing it.
3PO's revenge on Solo.
Yeah.
I did think it was interesting. It was fun to see like kind of that stuff going on in the background, because the other shit was kind of one of the other things I took out of this, though, out of this particular book, was the Ranks gang. To me, it sounded like it's something out of the Warriors. Terex goes back to basically the planet where him and his cohorts basically they took over this planet basically and ran it as like gang overlords. Kind of like a hut situation where they're just you're gonna we're ahead of this crime syndicate and you're gonna report to us. But calling it the Ranks, it reminded me, like, I immediately thought of you and the Warriors and your obsession with the Warriors. So
great movie, by the way.
Yes, we know, Jason. We know you love the Warriors.
I do love the Warriors, and anybody who doesn't is wrong. You're wrong.
I didn't say I hated it. It's just not something I would have seen if I hadn't met you, Jason. I would have never saw that movie.
Which we'll have to get into that at another time. But anyway. Yeah, it blew my mind that you had never seen it before. Considering we grew up in the same era.
I believe the motherfucker was dropped many, many times upon finding out that I hadn't seen that movie.
Alcohol was involved also. So
yes, it was. Was there a hospital visit in that same trip, by the way?
Yeah, unrelated to everything else. But yes. So, yeah, and then issue 10 it doesn't even end this story, because I guess this is a 6-part series which goes from issue 8 to issue 13. So we're halfway through this, but it ends with more of the backstory of Terex, and it's really good shit. Like, I like all of this backstory of his. He discovers the First Order in one of his flashbacks. Right. Like, one of his guys brings him a fucking suit. Like, we recovered this from some people that were smuggling some goods, and he's like, well, this is a stormtrooper outfit, but this looks modern. This is new. Like, where the fuck did you get this? And the guy's like, oh, it came from somebody called the First Order. And then that's kind of what got his wheels turning. And
yeah, you see him. He's like holding the helmet, the First Order stormtrooper helmet in front of him. And he's like, the First Order, ...
Yeah. So, all right, we got to close this up in the next 7 minutes. So anything else on these first 10 Poe Dameron issues?
No, aside from Jason literally falling asleep reading one of them, I really wasn't impressed with the storyline from the beginning. That's one of the reasons we were kind of giving Bronco Fett shit about it initially, when he kept saying, hey, you got to read it. I've read further into the series. So it's one of those where I'm not super excited to read. I think, quite frankly, the only thing I've been excited to read has been the Vader stuff. Yeah, because that's been consistently good.
And that might have to be the next comics that we get into. What the fuck? But ultimately, we've talked up Marvel Unlimited quite a bit on this show, and I think it's like the first 20 issues of Poe are all on Marvel Unlimited. So if you have a subscription to that, it's free to read, so check it out. You might feel differently than we do. And like I said, the last 3 issues of these first 10 were actually pretty good. I really enjoyed them. So read them yourself, come up to your own conclusions, and let us know what you think. But otherwise, we're going to lay these first 10 issues to rest. We may pick it up again later on if we get short of content and ideas. But I don't know if and when we're going to pick up issues 11 through 20. You all right over there? You look stunned.
We'll talk about it off air. Something that popped up on my news feed. Disturbing.
All right.
Anyway.
But yeah, that's it. Next week, I want to get back to Rebels. So I'm going to make it a point to put some time away to actually watch it, because I couldn't get the time to watch 8 episodes of the show this week. So hopefully next week we'll be doing Rebel Season 1. And then within the next 2 to 3 weeks, I'd like to do our new movie order priority thing.
Okay.
So yeah, when we rank the movies to include Solo and The Last Jedi.
No, Agree with that. I think we kind of talked about it off air, or maybe we talked about it on air, but I definitely want to watch. I want to watch Rogue One again. I feel like I haven't given Rogue One a fair shot, and I want to watch it again, having seen Solo.
Yeah.
I mean, I still want to see Solo again in the theater. We'll see how the weather is this week. Maybe like one day where I need a homework break, I might go over and catch it one more time in the theater on a matinee or something.
Speaking of which, Solo dropped down to number 2 this week. It was overtaken by that Ocean's 8 movie, brought in $15 million. So it's still steadily declining. I don't expect it to be out in theaters much longer.
That
honestly.
Ocean's 8 movie, the 8 broads do a heist movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it beat Solo this weekend at the box office.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it sucks because, like we said, Solo was a good movie.
Yeah, that's
you're missing
amazing.
out.
That's amazing. That Ocean's 8 movie should not have made $15 million ever.
Well, it made 41 for the weekend. Solo made 15, but
I wonder. Yeah, agreed.
But I want to see Solo one more time in theaters before it leaves, because I don't expect it to be out much longer, because Jurassic World comes out next week. And then
oh shit, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so Solo's time is definitely numbered. So if you want to see it again in theaters, this is going to be your last chance, probably this next week coming up.
Yeah, and on the 15th, Incredibles 2 comes out. So that's gonna stomp all over everything. Guess what? It's Ocean's 8. Your time at the top is it's not going to be very long, because fucking Incredibles 2 is going to kill it at the box office.
So with that, Dave, social media?
At All Things Star Wars Pod on Instagram, at All Things SW Pod on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook at All Things Star Wars Pod, and more importantly than all that, go to YouTube. If you're watching us right now, you already know how to find us on YouTube. But if you're listening to us on the podcast and you want to see us broadcast live, or you want to see the episode and see my constant gesticulating and carrot bags flying by and shit like that, go to youtube.com/c/all things SW pod. I think that's the link, isn't it? Now I gotta look. I gotta double check. Hang on. There's things happening. Things are happening around me. There may be another potato flying at my head as we speak. I'm not entirely sure.
Duck, Dave, duck.
God damn it. Warn me. No, it's youtube.com/c/all things Star Wars.
Okay.
So go to our YouTube channel, like us, subscribe to us, share us, and go if you're interested in some merchandise. Like if you're watching on YouTube, I'm wearing one of the new Teespring t-shirts with our certified logo on it.
Very nice.
You go to teespring.com/ I didn't put it in there. I suck. I'm the worst. teespring.com/stores/all things SW pod. And that'll take you to our store, which never mind the activity in the background going on.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
Yeah, exactly. Go to the front door.
All right. 1 minute. Let's close this up.
All right, that's it. That's all I got. Go to teespring.com/stores/all things SW pod and buy a shirt and a sticker.
Yes. All right. So with that, Dave, thanks again. It's always good talking to you.
Oh yeah.
And thank you everybody for listening. And until next week, Dave, may the force be with you.
May the force be with you.